While I like how tall the rider sits, she is between a half seat and a 3-point. If she were to remain in a 3-point, seated to the base of the fence, I would like to see her hip angle close 3 strides out. If she were to ride to the base in her half seat, her reins would need to shorten in order to maintain contact, her heel would have to stay underneath her hip, and her shoulders ever so slightly in front of her in order to stay clear of the saddle as her horse rocks in the canter underneath her. Her fluid 2-point, steady calf, and following elbows over the fence show that she has a solid foundation. So for this specific horse and rider pair, I recommend a shorter rein overall, a 3-point seat in the turn, then a half seat once straight to the fence, where the hip angle closes 3 strides out as calf increases and elbows begin to follow. So in other words, instead of sitting taller and farther away as you get closer to the fence, use your pelvis to half halt, which engages the core, and then your horse simply comes up to you. So while this rider has a similar style sitting very tall to the fence, the jumping position looks a lot softer because the rider is taller than the previous rider and because the horse has a longer, softer stride. Because the reins are so long, his hands remain at the withers and instead he releases in his elbows, which isn't a release at all, as I have explained in previous videos. If the reins are too long, you're unable to follow the contact with the motion of the horse's neck. In order to subtly half halt, steer, and release, your reins must be a length in which you are able to do so, jumping and flatting. And here we have the Goldilocks example. Yes, she is riding a smaller horse or pony, and these are cross rails, but no matter the size of the fence, the rider still has to be accurate in their position. Although there are a few bloopers like the horse about to cross canter here, the rider's position is generally what I'm looking for. Her leg is steady, her reins are short, her seat is light, her shoulders are tall, her hip angle is closed, and the horse simply folds up to her. I also like the use of ground rails before and after a fence mid-course in order to make sure the rider is continuing to see the same distance. While this rider's position is correct, it is very tense. As they continue through the course, her horse gets faster and faster. Side note, although her reins are long, I appreciate the auto release so that contact is maintained and her elbows don't leave her body. So back to the horse getting faster and the rider trying to remain soft. The rider is consciously trying to half halt in her seat, core, and elbows. However, you can see the horse blows through the half halt by taking the contact up and away out of the rider's control. I recommend a standing or running martingale depending on this horse's training on the flat. And out of your turns, I recommend using your outside leg and inside rein so that you don't lose the horse through the outside shoulder. However, as you take this right turn, it's clear that your horse doesn't fall through the left shoulder. This may mean that your horse is locked on the right jaw and stiff on the left side of his neck. This horse clearly has potential and is worth putting the time in on the flat in order to bring out the best of his ability over fences. Nice job navigating.